What is going on, YouTube? We are back. Today we're going to be talking best value picks in your fantasy drafts. Draft season is right around the corner. So if you have not done so already, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you want more fantasy content like this. But let's stop wasting time. Let's jump right into the video. Okay, so when we're talking about value, we're basically saying this player has a higher chance of outperforming his ADP and the players being drafted around him. So I just want you to keep that in mind. We're going to be starting at the second round. It's pretty hard to be a value in the first, so let's get started in the second. When we're talking about possibilities, the sky is the limit for Garrett Wilson. I think when this season is all said and done, Garrett Wilson will be up there with Ja'Marr Chase and Justin Jefferson of the unicorns at the young elite wide receivers in this league. Garrett Wilson had 1,100 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 83 catches with one of the worst quarterback rooms I've seen in a long time for an NFL franchise. I fully expect Wilson to surpass every one of those categories with Aaron Rodgers under center. And Aaron Rodgers doesn't have to come out and play at an MVP level. The bar was set so low last year for Garrett Wilson in this offense, with Zach Wilson and Mike White and Joe Flacco combining for the worst QB rating in the league last year. 1,400 yards, 6+ touchdowns, and about 100 receptions is a very real possibility for Garrett Wilson next year. I'm trying to draft him everywhere in the middle of the second, and you should too. Moving on to round 3, I think it's still surprising to see Najee Harris being drafted in the 3rd round. Maybe his ADP will creep up the closer we get to the regular season, but as of right now, he is a value in fantasy drafts. Now, I think it's safe to say Najee Harris has not been efficient in the first 2 seasons of his NFL career when he's touching the football, but he's still going to get a ton of work in this offense, and nothing should change in 2023. He started the season slow last year with a nagging foot issue. He turned it on late, and he ended up finishing the season as a top 15 back. And that's probably safe to say that was his floor. And when you start drafting people at their floor value, you put yourself in a position to dominate your fantasy league. He might be inefficient, but his workload is elite. And he's one of the backs in this league that can stomach 25+ touches a game. He's an absolute steal in the 3rd round. Moving on to round 4, let's talk about another running back that should be featured a little bit more this season. And we're going to be talking about Aaron Jones. He probably had one of the quietest top 10 fantasy finishes of all time. It's like he was a ghost. Jones just keeps going under the radar year after year after year, and now we get to finally draft him at a discount in round 4? Absolutely. Sign me up for that. Matt LaFleur has already hinted in the past that he prefers to run the football, and we could see an increase in 2023 with Aaron Rodgers out of the picture. Aaron Jones is an absolute steal in round 4. And moving on to round 5, I will continue to beat this drum until it's dead. Alexander Mattison is being looked at like the little ugly duckling, like he is not tied to an elite offense, like he is not tied to a QB who loves to check the ball down. Mattison has shown up in every game he has been given an opportunity to start in this offense. The coaching staff came out a few months ago and said he can be a 3-down back in this offense. Then a few weeks ago, we saw another report where they said Mattison is a better player than people think and that he is going to be trusted in every situation this season. Now, I don't know if you can read between the lines, but it sounds like the coaching staff believes in Alexander Mattison more than the fantasy community. And I'm going to believe in the guys that are in that locker room that see Mattison every single day. Mattison might lack big playability that Dalvin Cook once had in Minnesota, but this guy is rock solid in round 5, and you should be drafting him. He is probably the most value pick in your fantasy draft. Think about picking him up in round 5. Moving on to round 6, somebody has to catch the ball in Arizona now that DeAndre Hopkins is a tight end. And believe it or not, Hollywood Brown for the first half of the season last year was doing just that, with DeAndre Hopkins, of course, suspended for the first 6 games of the season. Now, this may come at a surprise, but Hollywood Brown for the first 6 weeks of the season was a top 5 PPR wide receiver, and he was outscoring the likes of Jamar Chase and Devontae Adams. And then, we're going to 2023, and there is some question marks at the QB position with Kyler Murray. How many games is he going to miss? When is he going to be coming back? But even with those question marks, I still like Hollywood Brown as my wide receiver 3 on my team. And I hope when Kyler returns, we can flirt with top 5 wide receiver potential. So Hollywood Brown is somebody I would like to draft in round 6 this year. A return for the Ashes and is on the horizon for Mr. Dante Johnson this season. Kenny Pickett showered him with targets. Matter of fact, he was top 8 in the league in targets. And he had a weird outlier year where he ended up not finding the end zone, which is something we can bank on pretty much not repeating itself in 2023. But in the 7th round, go ahead and roll the dice on the volume. There's no chance Dante Johnson doesn't score a touchdown in 2023. And if we see the same amount of volume we did in 2022, which I don't know why we wouldn't, it's about the same offense with the same weapons, he could very well be a top 15 wide receiver. So this late in your fantasy drafts, go ahead and chase the volume here. Dante Johnson is a bounce back candidate. Moving on to the 8th round, I don't think we've mentioned a QB yet. So in that 7th to 9th round range, I usually like to draft my quarterbacks. And who falls into that range this year? It's going to be Dak Prescott. I think he has an excellent floor. I think he's a safe play. He's coming off the board right now at the QB 10. So I think it's fair to say in the round 8, QB 10, we're drafting Dak Prescott right now at his absolute floor. And if he has a season where he is not injured, I think Dak may surprise you and he could crack inside that top 10. So I do like Dak Prescott this year. Now moving on to round 9, we're going to be talking about a guy that probably has the most upside left on the board, and he is in a new situation right now. His name is Rashad Penny. Now, I don't have to tell you Rashad Penny has been banged up for most of his professional career, but when we are talking about a guy who is, when he is on the football field, he makes a huge impact for his team. And I know this is a big if, considering Penny hasn't had a healthy season for his entire NFL career, but if Penny can play a full season with the Eagles, he is without a doubt the most upside you're going to be able to draft in the 9th round. Word is he's already practicing with the first team offense. He should be the main guy on the ground. Swift projects to be the change of pace back in this offense. Why not roll the dice on somebody like Penny in the 9th round, where he could possibly win you your fantasy league if he ends up staying healthy for the entire regular season. So if you're looking for some serious upside, Penny is your man in round 9. And the last guy we're going to be targeting in round 10, we have Elijah Moore. Now, the Jets gave up on Elijah Moore fairly sooner than I thought they would, considering the situation. We don't really have to go into it. We already talked about the Jets' terrible play at the QB position. But he is now a Brown. And Watson should be better than he showed us last year. He was a little rusty coming back from his suspension. Moore looks to be the slot man in Cleveland. He should be working close to the line of scrimmage. And when you have a guy like Watson, who is going to project to be a top 10 at the QB position this season, the sky is the limit for Moore. I would love to draft Moore as my wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5, where he could possibly be a sneaky PPR play this year. So, especially in PPR formats, Elijah Moore is somebody I would really like to target. If you made it to the end of this video, I appreciate it. We got more fantasy content coming to you all month long. We're going to get you that championship you always wanted. So do me a favor, if you have not done so already, drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and we will see you in the next video.